We have breaking news from the NHL. The New York Islanders have fired head coach Barry Trotz. We'll discuss this decision coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some breaking news from the NHL. The New York Islanders organization. The team has announced that GM Lou Lamoriello has relieved head coach Barry Trotz of his duties. Trotz still had one more year left on his contract after coming over as a free agent coach, after not re-signing with the Washington Capitals, after taking them all the way to the Stanley Cup. He brought into the New York Islanders organization along with Lou as the new regime. Of course, the Islanders went through some major offseason changes, including that was the offseason that John Tavares left and signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs. A lot of people thought the team was going to be in shambles. They were not in good shape statistically speaking, based on their previous run, and Lou and Barry really helped get things turned around. Barry Trotz turned his team into one of the top defensive teams in the NHL on a 5-year contract, and he had 1 year left, around $4 million, and now he's out after what many are calling a bit of an unlucky season. Even Lou Lamoriello himself, talking at the end of the season about what went wrong with the year, kind of refused to put the blame on a lot of the players, saying he believed in this roster, saying that they had a lot of extenuating circumstances. Obviously, they had an extenuating long road trip to start the year because their new arena wasn't quite ready in time, so they had to start largely the month of October on the road. They had a major COVID situation early in the situation. I know the Islanders and the Sens were probably the two hardest hit teams early on, and of course games were not being canceled or postponed, so they were really having a tough time battling through it. We certainly saw a lot of the vets pick it up near the end of the year, but they started slow, and a lot of those things that we just talked about very well could have had a major influence on how things went. I mean, really, if you look at things going into this past offseason, like last summer, I know a lot of people said, based on the moves that Lamoriello had made as GM, and of course he's two-time back-to-back GM of the year, which I don't see going for a three-peat, that they had a few holes in this roster, that this Islander team should be able to compete. Obviously, they had a couple of deep playoff runs as well. This team has been very, very solid outside of this one season with Lou and Barry at the helm. I have to think that there's more to this decision than just a down year. I mean, you think, right? Lou has to think that Trotz lost the room or the vets don't want to play his system. You have to think there's something more to this scenario that required Lou to pull the trigger on this kind of a decision. At the same time, though, we should know that Lou's been around the league forever and has made some pretty hasty decisions before in his time. We've seen him pull the trigger on a coaching change and put himself behind the bench not long before the playoffs before, when he was in New Jersey. He's a well-respected guy. He's been around a long time, but he's done some hasty moves, and he's not afraid to make the tough decisions. We know that, but Barry Trotz is an excellent coach. He will be highly sought after by a lot of other NHL clubs. I saw a quick tweet from Darren Dreger at TSN saying that some are believed that Barry Trotz may be interested in management roles as well as coaching, so they don't really know what the future holds for Trotz. Couple things to keep in mind. We do know in New Jersey, they haven't not announced yet that Lindy Ruff will be back as head coach. That's still under evaluation. Barry Trotz, of course, was a longtime coach for the Nashville Predators. When he was first in the league, was there for a real long run. His captain for 4 seasons there was Tom Fitzgerald, and now GM of the Devils. So there's an existing relationship there. We know that the Devils certainly could need a new head coach. You got openings in Chicago and Philadelphia, Detroit, so there's certainly some other options here. And if he's interested in management stuff, I don't know to what level that would go to. This is really kind of quite shocking, to be completely honest. I am blown away here. I honestly thought that this was more on management for not addressing the couple of holes. Like, they need another scoring forward. There's no doubt about that. And they could use another good puck-moving defenseman. I mean, the Islanders were heavily rumored to be in on a variety of different trades or free agent conversations this past offseason. At one point, it was believed that because Lou had not announced contracts or had them register with the league for some of these players like Cizikas and Palmieri and those guys, and that he didn't really want at least what the insiders were saying, was that they didn't want everything registered because they didn't want all the other teams to know their full cap situation, because he was working on a big trade, and or at least that was what they believed, and that expect something big from him before the season, but nothing ever materialized. So to me, this is on management. This is on Lou for not addressing the roster shortcomings. Plus, on top of that, you got extenuating circumstances at the beginning of the year between the COVID hit and the extra long road trip to start the year because the new arena wasn't ready. I don't know. This is baffling to me. He still had a year left. Let me know what you think. I guess we'll hopefully find out more information about Lou's rationale here. But this is some surprising news, and you can add another team to the list of other teams I just talked about looking for a coaching change. What direction will this team go in next? Can they get back to the playoffs? Will Lou address the shortcomings of this roster? And who might be a good candidate to take over for Barry behind the bench? So let me know your thoughts. We'll discuss further. Stay tuned for other videos coming today as more news develops in the NHL. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.